It's not about talking so much that you overload people or you overwhelm them. You need to be very straight to the point and learn how to be an active listener.
What's the top number one thing you need to be in order to be a highly effective leader?
Number one is an active listener. The best leaders listen to their team. They don't try to bark at their team or snarl or yell, and they do less talking. The talking is more intentional and it's more straight to the matter of fact, but it's not about talking so much that you overload people or you overwhelm them. You need to be very straight to the point and learn how to be an active listener. Because if you can't listen to understand, you then are going to be listening to respond. And if you listen to respond, that means you're really not listening.
Excellent. You see, active listener, one of the things that sticks out there says, careful not to overload. Walk us through what that looks like and an example of how to strategize not to do that.
So great question. So when I had Caden and we grew it to the largest company, African-American owned in Baltimore City, the state of Maryland for site work, as the company started to go downhill, I would yell a lot of things. Get this done, get that done, get this done, get that done. And I would overload my team because they didn't know what to focus on at that time. They couldn't prioritize because I was such a tyrant. I was such a tyrannical lunatic that they didn't understand or process what was most important to do. And because of that, I was just talking too much and things didn't work out.
Got it. So maybe a lot of orders versus listening and versus building the processes with them. It's more telling versus showing or doing with them. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So that's number one, being an active listener. What's number two?
Learn how to delegate tasks to the right people. People are going to follow what you give them, but know who you are dealing with. Know who you are talking to and know who you are giving certain responsibilities to. It's important because if I tell somebody to do something and they're not really the best to do it, I'm delegating to the wrong person. And as the leader who's serving people, you have to put the responsibilities with the right people. So delegation of tasks to the right people is absolutely essential as a leader.
What's the number one secret to finding the right person for the right task or position?
So you have to, through the hiring process, get people's strengths, what they do well, and over time, you'll go from belief in that person to trust in that person with discipline, dedication, consistency. We interviewed on our podcast Willie Parker, two-time Super Bowl champion with the Steelers. He has the longest touchdown run in Super Bowl history. He said, people that do what they're supposed to do, they are available and they show up. And that's what you have to do when you're trying to make sure someone is doing the right task. Are they available? Are they going to show up? And do they have the competency to go along with it? So it comes, in my opinion, Brett, from just over time, consistency, and then developing that congruency that you're showing up at all times to get what needs to be done correctly.
Excellent. Active listener, number one. Number two, learn how to delegate tasks to the right people. Number three, what's number three or number four on the list?
Number three is create a culture of inclusiveness where people can feel they can speak without being judged. Steve Jobs said it best. His hardest job at Apple was keeping all of his senior leaders when they had meetings on task. You have all these brilliant minds in the room, right, Brett? But if people feel they can't communicate, if people feel they're going to get looked down upon by their peers, what are they going to do? They're going to close in. They're going to stop talking. They're going to start to feel, well, I don't know if I'm going to be judged or looked at or ridiculed. And that's what happened with me with my 8-figure construction company. I put people in a position where they couldn't express themselves freely. And as a result of that, right, Brett, I lost everything. And it all started with me dissolving that strong culture through ego, through arrogance, and through just honestly plain stupidity.
I read a book called Crucial Conversations, right? And talked about making it safe, right? And that idea that, you know, approaching situations with curiosity and open-mindedness and not assuming you have the facts. In fact, just the opposite, assuming you don't have the facts and asking good questions to help bring out good answers, right? And oftentimes the team members are those that are closest to the problem. And as the CEO or as the entrepreneur or as the leader on, you know, flying, let's say at top and going 100 miles an hour, it's hard to see those challenges. And so you want to slow down and ask those questions.